Losing fat is easier than you think. The problem is, most people overcomplicate it. They seem to think you've got to eat bowls and bowls of kale, or go and run a crazy marathon, or live off extreme diets of broccoli. Or cutting out all the foods they actually enjoy. What the fuck? And that's why so many people fail. The truth is, fat loss comes down to a few simple principles. Not easy, but simple. And if you can focus on these, you'll get results without burning out. It's also super important to have a clear motivator or goal in mind. This could even be a half-naked photo of Brad Pitt. No matter what it is, as long as it's motivating you to lose that weight, that's all that matters. Bro! So now what you need to do is set a realistic goal with a realistic time scale, and then create the plan to start working towards it. The part people struggle with the most is actually sticking to the plan. For a lot of people, going on a diet is a massive lifestyle change, especially if you've been living an extremely unhealthy diet. Your body is naturally addicted to sugar like drugs. So trying to come off that is the equivalent of trying to take an iPad away from a 3-year-old. It's not just about what you do, but it's about what you don't do. It's about avoiding the snack and candy aisle at the grocery store and not filling your fridge with stuff you know isn't going to be part of the diet plan. Because you know as soon as it hits midnight and you're going downstairs for a late night snack, you're going to grab them Oreos. You know it. So if you just don't have them in the house, you're not going to eat them. So if you're really serious about losing weight, you need to make sure your environment is set up for your success. So now you've cleared out all the snacks, the candies, the gallon jug of mayonnaise, and yes, that jar of peanut butter's got to go too. But I love peanut butter. Hand it over. What are the next actionable steps to start losing weight? When most people want to lose fat, the first thing they do is start running. The problem is running is not the best tool for fat loss, especially long distance or high intensity running. Here's why. During high intensity cardio like running, your body relies heavily on glycogen, which is stored carbohydrates, rather than fat as a primary fuel source. Walking, on the other hand, stays in a lower intensity zone, where the fat is used as a main source of energy. Long duration running spikes cortisol, the body's primary stress hormone. Elevated cortisol can increase muscle breakdown, impair recovery, and encourage fat storage, particularly in the abdominal region, which is the last place you want it. By walking, this keeps your cortisol levels low, making it much easier to sustain fat loss without negative hormonal side effects. Running, especially when paired with a calorie deficit, increases the risk of losing lean muscle mass. Less muscle mass means a slower metabolism, which makes fat loss harder over time. And the last thing you want is to lose all that muscle you've spent months building. Most people can easily walk every day for around 30 to 60 minutes without it interfering with recovery or increased injury risk. So while running can burn calories in the short term, walking is a much more effective tool for sustainable fat loss. It keeps you in the fat burning zone, lowers stress hormone, preserves muscle, and you can actually do it every single day without burning out. A huge misconception is that to get lean or shredded, you need to follow an extreme diet. People think they need to cut out all carbs, live off smoothies, do coffee enemas, and a load of other crazy stuff. These extremes make it seem like being lean is only for people who are like superhuman, when in reality it's so much simpler. Calorie balance is the driver of fat loss. No matter what diet you choose, the common denominator is a calorie deficit. Cutting carbs or cutting fat out doesn't magically burn fat. It's the calorie deficit that matters. You can eat carbs and still lose fat, and you can eat fat and still lose fat, as long as the calories are controlled. The vast majority of these weird smoothie diets you've seen, or these full body detoxes, are basically things that cause laxative effects in the body, so it feels like you're flushing some kind of toxins out, but in reality, you're just shitting yourself. You just replace on an unhealthy diet with an even more unhealthy diet, as you're no longer getting the nutrients you need, and your body can't absorb all this crap and gunk properly. So yes, you will lose weight, but you can't live off this diet. You'll eventually die. So, and as soon as you come off something like this, the first thing you're going to do is binge eat and put the weight straight back on. That's why they're unsustainable, and that's why so many middle-aged women tend to fall for these kind of fad diets, because it promises results in like 2 weeks, which is why I've decided to start my own diet camp, where essentially instead of changing your diet, you just change what you're wearing every day. So instead of wearing light breathable fabrics like cotton, you'll be spending each day in a full knight's armour. This additional weight, plus the cardio on top, is guaranteed to make you lose fat. And not only that, your friends, family and peers will see that you're clearly on a very extreme diet. And they're going to be able to support you the best they can. Hi girls, welcome back to Slimming World. Now, let's go around the group and see who's lost the most weight this week. Carrie, we'll start with you. Well, I've lost 3 pounds this week. Woo! Everyone clap for Carrie, woo! And what about you, Claire? How much weight have you lost? What actually works is simple. Eat enough protein, eat mostly whole foods, and create a calorie deficit you can stick to. Protein helps preserve muscle, keeps you full, and raises your metabolic rate. You don't need to starve yourself. In fact, eating more protein and filling up on nutrients-dense foods makes fat loss so much easier. So how much food should I actually be eating to make sure I don't starve myself and lose all my muscle, but then I'm eating enough so then I can lose fat and get shredded? First of all, you want to calculate your maintenance calories. This is basically the calories you need to eat every single day to stay exactly the same. You can do this online using a calculator where you input your weight, your height, and how much activity you do every day. This will then output a rough estimate of what your daily calories are. From here, just simply drop it by 400 calories. If you did this every day without doing any cardio, you would lose weight. But if you did this along with cardio, the rate of fat loss will be increased massively. Alright, now we've wrapped that up, let's talk about the crucial steps that make a huge difference. Tracking your calories. Tracking your calories helps you understand exactly what you're consuming. Most people underestimate their intake by around 20 to 35%. So a little awareness can go a long way. You don't have to track them forever, just a couple of weeks can give you a solid understanding. This simple habit can really help you stay on track. To wrap it up, fat loss comes down to a few simple principles. Be honest with yourself, track what you eat, and stay consistent. And remember, you can either choose to be fat and have the donut and stay exactly where you are, or choose the healthy path and finally get that dream body. The choice is yours. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe for more tips.